I've wanted to do a video about since last Saturday. It's taken me basically a week to recover from it and muster up the energy for it. A lot of people that I know are going to be angry with me for this message, but I feel like I have to put it forward anyway. I'm furious and disappointed about people still trying to push the "they're not all racist" narrative. What do we say to people who say things like, excuse me, it's not all men, or it's not all white people? We say, wow, you are missing the point, right? This isn't about you. I'm so sorry if I offended you because you're a man, but you're not sexist, or you're white, but you're not racist. This happens to be about something much bigger than you. This is about systemic patriarchy or systemic white supremacy. And now you're going to nitpick me and say, excuse me, they weren't all racists on Saturday. What a way to completely miss the significance of the event and to try to pretend that it's still business as usual. Firstly, were you there on Saturday? And if you were there on Saturday, where exactly were you in the crowd? Were you at the back somewhere, having a good time, maybe even having a dance? Or were you going around constantly checking on people, scared about friends and family of yours there, and defending yourself and others? That's what my friends, colleagues, and I, for example, were doing, and many people. 3 people were attacked by racists screaming obscenities in front of me, right in the middle of Trafalgar Square. I intervened in those situations and we managed to get the better of things because we stepped up to defend ourselves, and because at that point we had numbers just about after we were attacked by emboldened racists. Saturday was a directly physical experience for me. It was forced upon me. Was it for you as well? And this isn't just about me. Guess what? Most of the people of color that I know had an experience more along those lines. They were going around checking on each other and generally doing what they could if they weren't totally mobbed and attacked. I don't mean to pick on the people that were, for example, dancing. It is good to have a joyous front of protest, and I'm sure that the dancing happened in part as a way of coping and being together and expressing that kind of resilience and so on. I do get that, so please know that this particular point is more political than personal. But I'll just be honest, since Saturday I have gotten angrier about the memories that come back to me of the dancing, because let me tell you, I was in no mood to dance. My mother and aunt were in no mood to dance. My 18-year-old cousin was in no mood to dance. The people who were attacked, assaulted, were in no mood to dance. So let me ask you a question. When the up to 100,000 drunk, many high, racist thugs violently pushed us back into Whitehall, it might have been less than 100,000 at that point, fine, surrounded us on 4 or 5 sides, not just the Trafalgar Square side, frothing at the mouth like zombies, screaming racist slurs, throwing bottles and flaming objects at us. Let me ask you a question. If they had managed those up to 100,000, let's call it 50,000 people, right? If they'd managed to get through to us, maximum 10,000, maybe we were 5,000 at that point. People of color, men, women, children, anti-racists, babies, kids, adults, and older people. What were they gonna do? This is one piece of analysis that I think is seriously missing. I haven't heard any analyst or commentator say this yet, so I'll say it, even though loads of people that I know, and certainly mainstream society, will call this dramatic or crazy. Were they going to get through to us and then all of a sudden realize how irrational and unpleasant they were being and say, you know what, let's sit down and have a conversation. Maybe I need to hear you out, actually. Maybe I need to hear your perspective as to why there is, in fact, nothing wrong with immigrants and asylum seekers and Muslims and trans people. Or were they going to beat us down? So let me be as explicit as possible in my analysis of this situation. This was a mass racist attack, and if it had gone further, some of us would have been killed. So to all of you out there who are still trying to be really nice and reasonable and hear out the other side and draw back in the reasonable people who have just been swept up in this anti-immigrant movement but aren't actually racist, etc. Did that approach work with Brexit, where people said, don't call them all racist bigots? No. Has that worked against the Stop the Boats campaign, where people said they have legitimate concerns, we need to hear them out? No. Has it worked to defend the rights of trans people? No. So why do you think that this will work against racist mobs and mass deportations and anti-Muslim hate? It's as if the more extremely bad things get, the more people want to ignore reality and try the same failed methods. By the way, it's not actually that I disagree with that point. I actually agree. Not all of them were racists, and some of them we can draw back to our side. And we need good left-wing politicians to do that. And I have to say that from what I'm seeing, Zach Polanski is someone who's put forward a model for how to do that. I find, or a potential model. I find the video of him in Clacton really impressive. He positively connected with people that voted in Farage. Now, people don't change so drastically all of a sudden like that. So that video is, I would say, showing you a starting point. It's an ongoing process, but I think Zach is putting forward a model that the whole left needs to be looking at and having a conversation about, and we need to be brainstorming other models and other ways of doing this as well. All of this seems totally true to me. I accept all of that. My point actually is not that the claim that they're not all racist is wrong, but rather that if that is your focus, if that's your emphasis, if that is your priority right now, if that's top of mind for you right now, then as a movement, we're screwed. You need to wake up. Maybe you're a white man, so you don't have lynching in your heritage. People are getting lynched around the country, and God knows what would have happened to us on Saturday if the baying mob got to us. Yet you still want to hear them out? What you don't understand is that we are in a conflict situation. There are sides, and you need to pick one. Some of you are stuck in a limited electoral politics bubble. I'm not saying ignore electoral politics, of course, don't ignore it. I'm saying don't look at and engage in only electoral politics. Some ideas and systems need to be smashed, no questions, like racism, anti-immigration, Islamophobia, patriarchy, queerphobia, transphobia, ableism. The problem with obsessing exclusively over electoral politics is that you then become unwilling to smash those evil prejudices because there's always a constituency of bigots whose votes you want. If you are only concerned with electoral politics, you will, sooner or later, make unacceptable moral compromises. If you take a broader view and are actually engaged in politics on the street and community level, you see that it is unacceptable. You see that it should be a hard red line to entertain any degree of bigotry, racism, Islamophobia, patriarchy, transphobia, ableism. Because if you are on the street and community level, then you see the effects of those things directly. When someone is hurt in a prejudicial attack, you know the person it happened to or a person like them, and you feel very personally that you cannot make any compromises in this area. This is what it means to be truly grassroots. And if that isn't how you think about politics, then I'm sorry to say that you need to develop your analysis and you need to think about why you are in or why you are interested in politics. Do you want to be an MP with a lovely salary and perks and talk about serving the community? If that's what you're about, then you're of little use right now. The woman that was racially, sexually assaulted in Oldham, the child shot in the head with an air gun 3 times, the teenager beaten up in front of his mother, the asylum seekers who've been living through these intimidation campaigns with flags and these vicious attacks on hotels. This has all happened because of our politicians. Keir Starmer and his Labour engine, the Tories and obviously Reform and others, they all made this happen. They are guilty of these racist attacks, just like they are guilty of genocide. I don't think, I would love to be wrong about this, please tell me if I'm wrong. I don't think that the Prime Minister has even commented yet on the horrific, heartbreaking Oldham attack, or so many of them. I hope that is because I have a wishful, a fanciful idea that that's because he's too ashamed, because he knows he is responsible. But who am I kidding? We're talking about a genocide and kid starver. We cannot afford to downplay at this extent or inaccurately analyze what on earth last Saturday was. and where we are today. If we start with this weasel narrative of let's make sure that we're super polite and we don't mistakenly label any people who quote unquote innocently went along to this Tommy Robinson demonstration, like Clive Lewis's mate, for example, then we are starting from the wrong place and we will end up in the wrong place. Let's not make the exact same strategic mistakes that the left has made for the last few decades. We have to smash the racist movement, not try to reason with them, because they don't want to reason with us. They want us out of the country or dead. I'm talking about people that perhaps look like me or wearing things like this. So let's get serious. Let's unashamedly name what we're up against, and let's smash the right.